everybody, and welcome to the Amazon EU Masters. I'm HitBrain, and I am joined by Dagda. It's been about 2.5, 3 years since me and you've been on mic. Yeah. I am very excited. How you doing, mate? You all right?
Brilliant. I mean, look, it's great to get back to casting with yourself. It's been a long old time since, what, 2018 was the last time I think we cast together. But also the fact we get LDLC, the finalists from last year, up against X7, who, I mean, for somehow, some way, have already managed to beat LDLC and are trying to take the top spot away from them.
I mean, X7 have been a dominating team domestically in the NLC. Yes, they got reverse sweeped in the grand finals, but Kasing promised us he was going to win EU Masters. He promised us that was coming out, and they are currently on a good track, 4-0 in their group versus the first seed from the LFL. But this could be LDLC's chance to get some revenge for that single loss they've suffered here in the group. We're into picks and bans already. We can see the Aphelios being denied away from Attila, from Exakick and Attila, technically, along with that Kalista and the Azir. On the other side, the Yuumi and the Renekton have been banned away, but you were talking to me while watching the other games, Dagda. That Zeri is still open, and you've been kind of saying, where's the Zeri been? Oh, don't worry, there it is.
Well, there it is. There it is. Yeah, immediately taken off the board. But I had to laugh, like you're saying, you know, Kasing coming in, saying, like, look, I want to make sure that I can get all the way to finals. Well, they're scared of Kasing, and they're scared of this Kalista, or this Zeri. So I think you start to see picks like the Sivir, I think, is another one that we are kind of chatting about, has been missing a lot. But that would be kind of one of the big picks in my eyes. But you can also look at, like, Trundle, Wukong, Poppy, these kind of picks, all incredibly strong in the jungle as well. Looks like we will be leaning into the Trundle for Viking in the early stages.
I like this pickup. It doesn't reveal too much. It gives you some flexibility. The Sivir is open, but, you know, we've also seen Exakick DOS pull out the Nami Lucian earlier on in the day, so you could just see what they're going for and then look to try and pick something like a match or, you know, scale along with it, I guess. They still have options, so both teams trying to kind of keep their cards close to their chest while picking up the kind of standard picks like this Sejuani here. Again, flexible, can go in the jungle, can go in the top lane, not really revealing too much, and kind of playing that game of poker with each other right now in the draft.
I am kind of surprised to see the Sejuani come through, because obviously Trundle steals away a bunch of stats, right? So
yes.
Not exactly the best answer. So chances are that's going for Ragner in the top side, kind of showing his hands early. I would have liked to see the Lucian Nami you hinted at picked up, because I think that just gives you such a solid bot lane to try and play around. And especially when we know that LDLC like to play around that bot side. Attila and Kasing honestly kind of gapped them as well the last time. I would have liked to see, well, I was going to say an aggressive pick bot side, but there we go. Thank you very much, LDLC.
That's the gauntlet throwdown. That is absolutely the gauntlet throwdown. Exakick going to get his hands on the Draven. We've already seen a Draven. We just saw it in the previous game as well. Did lose, unfortunately. I'm now going to be very excited to see what X7's response to this Draven is. I feel like they're going to be picking up their bot lane or components of their bot lane here, as they are just thinking through stuff. Actually going to go for the Syndra. Been a while. I'm very out of fart there. Yeah. The Syndra pickup here is technically flexible, can go in the bot or the mid lane. So again, little bit of flexibility. Curious to see what this final pick is here for X7, as maybe something like this Nautilus or Leona that can kind of lock down that Draven and stop him from just putting out a ridiculous amount of DPS, force him to drop those axes.
Yeah, I know this was the Syndra pick is something like Lyric has been kind of questioning for a while why it's not in the meta, because it's very, very good at like getting through the front line and interrupting that back line, especially when you think of like Draven, relatively short range, you can do a lot of damage there. Zeris, the Sivers, all these things that are in the meta actually struggle against the Sivir. And when you've got that pairing with the Nautilus as well, that's a lot of backline dive and a lot of pressure onto Exakick. So I like that LDLC have kind of swapped over to the Braum here. They're like, hey, look, we've got a bit of protection for you, bud. We're going to make sure you're safe. And even when something like the depth charge comes out, or if they try to go for some sort of stun with the Syndra through the back line, at least you got the Braum to try and counteract a lot of that. So coming into this now, you're looking at LDLC trying to get rid of top laners that can do well against this Sejuani. You know, Aatrox taken off the board. Maybe we see something like an Ahri as well, or if they're really worried about Chasy going back towards something like the Yone that he brought out earlier on, or even something like the Ornn that can do relatively well later on against the Sejuani.
I'd like to get your thought on like GP as well as a pick for the top lane here for Chasy, because you know, looking at this comp, if this is Syndra bot lane, the GP can really get you a lot of kind of space control, especially around these kind of river fights at Dragons and Baron. You obviously have the barrels and the cannon barrage. You can allow Syndra to set up those stuns. You know, DOS can only block so much on the Braum here, so I'm curious what your thoughts are on. Do you think there's just better picks, or do you think actually GP could slot into this comp?
I think he can do relatively well. Like, I think if you're... The only thing I'm curious about is, like, how do X7 want to define their composition? Because when you look at, like, Syndra, Spike's hard mid, Trundle, Nautilus, same kind of idea. And it feels like you're probably going to be leaning into something like Lucian Nami or something along those lines on the bot side. So your composition's very... Or sorry, Lucian Nautilus or something along these lines. very heavy like mid-game focus. So I think for Chasy, you could just go, hey, I'm going to be the late game insurance, or you can kind of go, no, instead we want something that's going to be able to set up our fights a bit better, or play through that mid-game strength. I do think they have plenty of engage, so they don't necessarily need Chasy for that, and that's why I was kind of saying I think a Gnar could actually do really well here, where you can do relatively well against the Sejuani, keep yourself safe, but like great follow-up on something like a Syndra Stun or the Nautilus engage. Oh wow.
Well, actually seeing the Swain getting picked up here again, fairly flexible. We don't entirely know where that's going to go, and I think we'll get everything revealed here in this final pickup.
I'm actually curious if it's a Syndra bot, because we actually have seen it in the past can do relatively well at like kind of keeping at bay, making sure that Draven can't really chase her down because he just gets scattered away. Now with the Renekton in the top side, we know that it's at least going to be one of these AP mages bot, and I like that at least you're kind of pairing the Renekton, a big AD threat in the top side. But Yike, okay, gonna go over towards the Bel'Veth. I know he picked up the Kasing previously into the Trundle and I wasn't the biggest fan, but I think something like a Bel'Veth can actually do really well here, especially when so much of X7 is going to be jumping in on top of you. You can sit there, get your defense set up, get that 70% reduction in damage, and just try and go ham on this early Bel'Veth pick.
Yeah, I'm curious to see, how the early game is actually going to be looking out here. This Syndra Nautilus feels like quite a painful lane to play in if you are on the Draven. The big thing is Draven telegraphs where he's going. He throws the auto out, and then an axe appears on the ground, and you can aim your stuns, your hooks, all of your stuff at that spot, and either zone him off the axe and force him to burn through a bit of mana, or you just you get free damage, free trade. So it gets to a point where the Exakick is going to have to play this lane very, very smart. But if they do pop off, you do land that Braum Q, you suddenly stack up those concussive blows really quickly, and Draven's early damage is going to melt through a Syndra. So it's going to be very much on the side of the NLC second seed X7 here to really show that they can once again kind of bot gap Exakick and DOS, because that, like you said, was how they won the first time.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit more difficult with this because, as you kind of alluded to, it's a little bit more of a poke game from Attila, right? In an all-in situation where you're even trying to get the ultimate, the unleashed power from Attila, that just gets blocked by DOS. Like, this Braum pick is such a good pick against the Syndra, specifically for that ultimate damage. So it'd be much more about, hey, can I poke down? Can I try and work through that? And you can even see it in Exakick's runes, right? He knows he's not going to end up winning this game in the early stages. He's gone for the Gathering Storm, which traditionally you don't see on a Draven, but they just know that it's going to be a case of Attila pokes me down, ranges me. This is more a case of, okay, well, we're probably going to be playing for those mid-game fights, and let's try and play for that instead.
I do worry that X7's comp is very AP focused. Yes, Renekton is an AD champion. Yes, Trundle technically does AD damage as well, but they're not traditional AD carries. They're not. It's not like a Gnar or a GP who is a genuine AP threat, AD threat for the team. It's very easy for Ragner to itemize magic resist after getting a little bit of armor to deal with Chasy and lane, and then when you get into the fights, how do you actually kill through Ragner? Yes, I guess you have to subjugate and tools like that, but is that going to really be enough when you've got a Swain? You've got the Syndra just putting out a lot of AP damage. So they are very kind of front-loaded in that sense. So it's going to be curious to see how X7 actually how they handle this lane.
Yeah, I feel like if you're ever like in a straight up 5v5 of X7, you're probably not going to be too happy. So I think their main point is going to be trying to look for picks before big objectives start off, right? Like Attila, great burst. Kasing, great catch. Viking, a ton of damage, can seal away resistances and make that very painful for whoever they find. And I think that's going to be kind of like at least part of the crew trying to see if they can pick off that one person. What, Tempt just kind of stands there like Hodor, just arms out like, don't let anyone pass, I'm going to heal as much as I can, just do not get to the rest of this team until they're done with. I think that's probably how we're mostly going to see them play out, but Kasing going to take a lot of damage.
Yeah, he's going to get stunned up, instantly loses a lot of health. Kasing not going to go for the Q under the tower onto Exakick, and that's a really rough trade there for them to lose. That Nautilus, who's kind of here to body block and protect Attila, now pretty heavily chunked out, is going to force to burn through the majority of those pots and see what they can do from there. We're looking at top side right now, and I actually want to talk a little bit about Ragner, because Ragner was very much a defining factor in that Anorphosis game at the start of the day. I thought Anorphosis were going to potentially beat LDLC in that first game, and Ragner on the Aatrox really carried a lot of the weight for this team.
Well, I mean, Ragner is a guy that has definitely been around in, like, League of Legends for a while, right? Like, he's been on several top Turkish teams, Supermassive and, like, Galatasaray, 2 wins away from going to MSI and Worlds. Like, this is a guy who's been incredibly good for a long time, and he's about to get some help from Yike.
Yeah, actually, that was way too aggressive from Chasy. Throws down the Ignite, has to flash away. Yike's able to find the knockup. Viking's coming in. Maybe he can find revenge for his teammate, but no. Yike is powered up and starting to do some real damage as the permafrost is stacked. Yike can lose a lot of health to Viking, actually, and decides better of it and dashes away.
Yeah, eventually kind of stepping back from that was like, oh, that actually kind of hurt a lot more than I expected. But great job on the initial gank, because one of the things that we were talking about with X7 want to go for these picks, it means they need to get these early leads, right? They want to be the ones with vision control, tempo advantage, so they can actually look for these plays. Getting early picks into the top side, getting kills onto Yike is going to definitely start to snowball LDLC into a good spot where they can try and play for skirmishes, especially around Rift Herald in just 4 minutes time.
Yeah, going to be looking towards that skirmish as well. And we haven't really paid too much attention to Tempt and Eika in the mid lane. It feels like Tempt has constantly got pretty heavy shove there. So a lot of topside focus and kind of power to X7 right now. So they can play towards that Rift Herald like you were saying. And they're going to want to be able to skirmish for that. Tempt will be level 6 around that mark as well. Viking, on the other hand, a little bit further behind on the experience side. Obviously did put some attention into that top lane and has slowed down his pace somewhat to Yike.
Yeah, and one of the nice things about having like the Syndra in the bot side when you're looking towards Rift Herald fights is the fact she has that teleport. Because you probably get to push in this wave as Attila. It's not that hard to do realistically as a Syndra. You can see he's already got a slow push going. You go for a quick reset, walk back to lane, and you always have pressure on the map there. Because Exakick and DOS decide to answer your push on bot side, fantastic. I TP mid, I'm there for the skirmish at Rift Herald. I'm denying a Bel'Veth that Rift Herald opportunity. If they end up going for the Rift Herald play, well, Attila can then start to play heavily into the spot side, look to steal away plates, and then still TP in. It makes it so much easier to play the map as X7, and I think that was one of the big defining things I saw from the last time these two teams faced off, was X7 just having a better understanding of how to play the map, and LDLC struggling to try and keep pace.
Well, 5 minutes on the clock right now. LDLC do have a pretty decent gold lead for themselves already, considering, you know, Dagda, you've been quite vocal about the pace of European League of Legends at the moment. You know, we've had 1 kill in 5 minutes. That's pretty good. European League considering anyway. As Yike actually did a pretty good job here on the Bel'Veth, able to move in, steal away that Gromp. Obviously got that kill for Ragner, maybe looking to jump into Chasy. Chasy flashless, so fairly exposed here. With the permafrost building out, able to dash away with a double dash, but he is just crowd controlled to hell. Chasy will be going down a second time as Yike able to steal away the kill.
Don't worry, Cole Renekton will scale fantastically into the late game. This is going to be okay. But no, I think this Renekton pick not going so hot for Chasing. The problem is he hasn't been getting much help, right? You've got 2 ganks now up towards Yike, who just about managed to sneak in ahead of Viking before he was trying to make a play on that initial gank. Now you've got Viking as well, who's caught off on reset. So I think this is something that I've always been impressed with Yike, even when we saw him like first time in EU Masters back in spring, was how good he was with like finding timers where junglers were on resets or just sneaking in ahead of his opposition. Like, it was really, really cool to see kind of how his jungle pathing worked, and we're starting to see it again, right? 2 kills now already into the top side and making sure that Chasy's just not going to have a good time.
Yeah, and he is about half a level up on Viking as well. Viking does still have a couple of camps, well, the crab and the red buff to take, so he should be able to hit that 6 somewhat soon, and that may change the tides of this top lane, because God knows X7 need all the help they can get on this, as they're actually invading onto the blue buff. Yike coming fresh off a reset. Might be feeling quite comfortable to go for this, but you are playing into a Syndra. Buff contention incredibly hard to go through, but Yike's still able to come in with a smite and secure that one for himself. So Attila not able to land that W and steal it away in time.
And that's actually pretty big, because Viking committed a lot of time and resources to that. Having that smited away means he won't hit level 6 as this Rift Herald is spawning. He needs 2 more camps before he's going to be able to do that. And that's going to open up an opportunity now for LDLC to just go very quickly, try and make a play either in mid, abuse the fact Viking has to go farm camps, or just immediately start up this Rift Herald with the push that you've got on this top side from Ragner. But I think the problem is with pushing bot and pushing mid for X7, it becomes quite risky to just immediately go towards the Rift Herald.
He was pinging the mid lane. It feels like Tempt was well aware of that and was backing off for the moment as LDLC now on this top side of the map, while Viking on his lonesome will get spotted out on a ward, and if he gets caught, he's just going down. There's way too much CC. Has almost got his flash back up, so he is able to just about get under the tower and survive, but the vision gets cleared away. 6 has now been hit for Viking. Tempt with 4 seconds on his teleport is going for a reset, and we'll just teleport back into mid to help make sure that there's pressure on this Herald. Viking just sniffing around to see if this Herald's been started up, and we'll see that Yike is in the area, but he's got his support, he's got his mid laner and his top laner. So X7, considering the pace and the kind of the control that Yike was able to get for his team, X7 do play this fairly smart and tempered, and will be able to turn this into their favor. So Rift Herald number 1 going over to X7, and I gotta kind of hand it to Kasing. I think he just rotated early and made sure that X7 were able to get this. Oh my word.
Oh, it's Reese. Oh, no. But I gotta give a shout out to Tempt as well. I mean, Tempt, full control over mid lane, massive CS lead. He has been dictating the pace in this mid lane, and it's the reason that they couldn't bring LDLC over. Now, though, LDLC want a duel, and that reset's gonna hurt.
This actually might just cost them. No, they're able to pick it up, and the fight's on already. Chasy jumps into the middle of 3, but he is CC down, and in comes Tempt. Not able to do too much here. Gets caught out by the charm. They flash forward, they chase him down. Attila comes in, has that scan of the week to try and save the day, as Viking finds himself in the middle of everyone. The flashes are coming out here from LDLC as they are sent packing. DOS able to survive for now as the Vision of Empire comes in. DOS will get scattered by Attila and taken down. It was hairy, but X7 do come out on top.
Bloodlust in the eyes of LDLC. They think they can make the play with Chasy going down, but they overextend. X7 collapse, and just like that, X7 managing to get some gold back in their favor. Eika, though, still pushing up towards Tempt, but I think he'll just be happy to clear out this wave and get himself a reset.
Yeah, I think he's just threatening and making sure Tempt's not got the lane pressure on him. We can see Attila's actually in the top lane now on the Syndra. Tempt, flashless, gonna stopwatch the ultimate, but immediately gets caught out by the charm. Tempt is going down.
And Tempt has been so good for X7, not only so far in this game, but over the course of EU Masters as well. A mistake from him, though, now costing them the dragon on this bottom side as Ragner and Yike will move on over. They've decided to swap their lanes around. LDLC with Exakick now up in this top side, trying to make sure that he can get some gold for himself while they're able to sneak away this dragon on the opposite side.
Teleport is going to get used by Eika to make sure that this tower doesn't get heralded and charged down. They are going to be able to get themselves a single plate there for X7, but Dragon over to LDLC, and they are feeling way more in control of this from the first time these two teams meet, and the reset really cost X7 a lot of time on this herald. They could have just been out.
Yeah, they could have been gone scot-free, and the fact that it had, everyone in X7 moved away, which is why Chasy ends up getting caught here, but not being able to kill off Tempt, great flash over the wall, means that they actually end up way overextended. A lot of damage from Chasy before he went down, and with the AoE from Tempt, him staying up, great CC that we already kind of alluded at, coming through from Attila and also from Kasing, they're able to very easily separate out the members of LDLC and take them down.
But it was a 1-for-2 fight, but realistically ended up being a 2-4 fight as Eika getting a little bit of damage. DOS gonna avoid away on the hook there from Kasing. Is able to just about get away, but they got Herald, they got members in the mid lane, so this tower either going to be taking a hell of a lot of damage or will just be falling down. It feels like X7 ready to commit for this tower. Should just be able to get it low enough with the charge, but actually charge maybe a little bit too early, so just a bunch of plates over to the side of X7. And they're not going to get the tower here.
They might get top lane, though. Look at Exakick. Very much overextended, but just about manages to back away before X7 get into position. And I actually like the play from X7, right? They basically go, hey, we've got waves pushed out on either side. Let's just quickly collapse on mid lane. Try and force the numbers advantage that we have. But Ragner now.
Yeah, able to pin Chasy in place. He's able to hold for just a little bit longer. Pops himself the ultimate. Needs to find a good stun. Doesn't connect it onto the right target. He'll have a queue for a bit of help, but he is pinned in place and taken down. Not before taking the wave out. But even so, Chasy has been the victim of all of LDLC's attention. 0-4 on the standing right now. And not having a particularly solid game. I praised Ragner for his Aatrox last game, but it looks like give him Sejuani, he can still carry as well.
Yeah, it was a great read from LDLC. We were just saying, hey, X7 collapse mid, they go to make the tower play, but then they spot, oh, well, Draven is still on top side. We don't want to give him plates. We got Ragnar pushing on one side as well. So everyone in X7 drifts up to the top side to try and find the pick onto the Draven. So LDLC just go, cool, well, we've dealt with Rift Herald, let's go make our own play on the bot side. So get another kill into Chasy. We'll probably get this first tower in this bot side as well, with just another little play from Yike if they want to. But top side.
Oh, almost a good stun. Exakick does have to burn the cleanse. I think a little bit unneeded. Unleash power onto Exakick, and Attila almost gets enough damage to kill Exakick, but will go down. And that is not a good loss there for X7. They're getting caught sleeping consistently now.
And LDLC are just playing this map so well. They're like, cool,
Yeah.
we can find the pick on bot side. Right now we know we have the numbers advantage. We have the tempo advantage. Let's make the pick on top side as well. Now you're looking at 2 minutes until the next dragon with a bunch of gold just gone into this Draven. 2 kills, very much working up towards that Essence Reaver. And when LDLC have a stronger team fight in check as well, it becomes very easy for them to continue stacking these dragons and force that team fight at these neutral objectives.
Yeah, this is getting a little bit scary for X7, the team that are undefeated here in Group B. A team who have been very dominant so far, but it feels like a little bit of disrespect, and this has been criminal of them as once again, Ragner just setting his team up, and this time, Tempt able to actually buy a lot of space, gets jumped into immediately. Viking comes forward, Chasy's been caught out. They throw it down the Graceful Fisher to pin him in place, and 3 versus 4. It feels like X7 have found some life, but no, LDLC finally strike back. Ragner, though, has to jump away from the claw from Tempt, is able to do so. X7 getting punished once again, but they may just try and pressure onto the tower because the amount of damage for those 3 members for X7 were able to do.
You called it though, 3 versus 4. X7 tried to take the fight and they get punished for it. You had Attila and Kasing both on the top side from forcing the push against Exakick, and they just take that step too far. Now you've gotten 3 kills onto this Bel'Veth who's taking over. You're going to get this tower going down to the bot side, the first one of the game. LDLC are taking over, and you talk about X7 being undefeated in this group. Well, LDLC are the finalists from Spring. They don't want X7 to be able to take that first spot away from them, and they're trying to force a tiebreaker.
It's really, really rough here for X7, but you're perfectly right. LDLC, you know, they're from, I would say, the most prestigious region in the European Masters. France and the LFL have just been the region we have spoken about for such a long time. With Kasey gone, it feels like this could have been LDLC's season. And they lost to X7. Really, really rough start for them. But again, they are still one of the teams. They are the first seed from the LFL. But X7, they want to see if they can keep their undefeated streak going. They've been able to pick up this Rift Herald, so this will result in some towers for them. Some gold injection. A much needed gold injection, might I add. As Attila will be able to take this tower down. Feels like maybe a little bit too early from the Herald. Maybe they can get that second charge out.
Yeah, they should be able to, but I think this is kind of going a bit sideways now for X7 already. They really need to start finding picks if they want to bring this back. You've got the opposite though.
Attila able to flash away for the moment. Viking's gonna get pinned in place. He has nowhere to go. Can't pop the Subjugate in time. Chasy slowing everybody down. He jumps into the middle. Chasy in a whole world of hurt as he's caught now. Attila's low HP. He's scattered. He's down. LDLC are finding charm, finding concussive blows one after the other. X7 are crumbling right now to LDLC.
And it just comes back to LDLC with a great draft to bring this in. The Draven comes in on the bottom side, noting that the Kallista's gone, that you don't have the opportunity for any sort of early aggressive AD carry to match him. Attila tries to answer with the Syndra, and it just hasn't lived up to the hype that was coming through. Now you're looking at X7 starting to very quickly drift behind. S tank in the top lane, Ragner, who won't be killed by a Syndra or a Swain. And an Exakick is massive behind them.
Perfect ult onto Attila as well, though. Just Ragner has been sniping key targets, and it's just been such a nuisance. It's not that he's just the tank, it's the CC that he's bringing. And Eika on the Ahri, hyper aggressive, consistently landing charms, and Yike able to solo Tempt. We kind of missed this off the end, but Tempt just being on the receiving end of so much pressure, and it's really not gone to plan here for X7, and their cockiness that bit them in the NLC finals feels like it's kind of coming back to get them once again.
I just don't see a way that they're able to bring this one back. I mean, even look at the build path that we're seeing from Tempt. Traditionally, you see something like the Imperial Mandate with the Royalized Crystal Scepter, like getting that synergy between the two items for the Swain, but they know they need the Liandry's Anguish to have some damage coming from the mid lane, because Chasy, not in a position to be a carry, 0-6. Syndra, not going to be able to kill Ragner, not going to be able to kill Yike, and with the damage reduction that he gets. Same when you look at Doss, who can just block so much of that damage from Attila.
Oh no. Teleport coming in, Kasing in danger, able to hook away. Good scatter the weak onto Eika, but it doesn't get the full stun. The unleashed power has been thrown down, but that is going to be the end of Kasing. Viking as well, pinned in place, nowhere to go. Can't do anything as Eika is finding so much damage for his team. Gets himself a double kill. As X7 continue to fall apart at the seams. Tempt just doesn't have the damage to stick either, and this is that fully AP loaded team that X7 have put together, really coming back to hit them.
And LDLC looking at X7 at 4-0 and going, hey, you know what? I want to match you 4-1 as we come into the last day of the group. And at the moment, LDLC looking confident. Great play on the map, great execution on team fights. I mean, just look at the scoreline across the board. Even having Yike go for this damage-oriented pick, or damage-oriented build, I should say, with the Ahri. It's just so difficult for X7 to match. You have full control of the map for LDLC. Another dragon in less than 2 minutes. Like, what do you do as X7?
Pray. Yeah, pray. That's unfortunately, as Jamado once said when I asked him, how does this team pull it back? He said, turn to religion.
It definitely feels like, because they can't turn to the damage from Attila. Attila, you can see sending an entire arsenal of spears into LDLC, but nobody goes down. Ragner's here chasing the Viking, just a great pick, but Ike able to play forward. And I mean, that if that charm had connected, that's suddenly so much more of X7 gone to the graveyard. So at this stage, X7, I mean, they're trying to get some control over River, but LDLC control mid, they're pushing in bot, and this is kind of where you get to see what Ahri can do in a side lane. Like, I think she's so underrated with how aggressive she can play in sides, because she's so safe with the ultimate to be able to bounce herself back out of there.
Yeah, and it's just super safe, like you said, really, and a lot of damage. 4-0, got the Liandry's as well, just to kind of deal with the front line. Obviously, when Viking isn't CC'd and is able to subjugate Ragner, will help with all that extra kind of resistances that Ragnar's going to be building up. Ragner now 2 items on the Sejuani to Chasy, who's just got that gold drinker. Ika's coming in on the side, gets caught by the CC immediately, goes in for a cheeky stopwatch, and now the rest of the team are coming in. Ika's able to get away, and the whirling death comes in to save the day. They do find a cheeky catch out here from Chasy, gets himself a 700 gold shutdown. Maybe X7 have found a little bit more fuel. The slows, the pullbacks, the damage. Tempt able to find a kill, but Yike is just phenomenally fed, chasing onto Eika with the slows, as it is all about Tempt to try and find the fills. He's able to get himself one, but no, he crumbles. An ace for LDLC into a dragon. X7 showed some life, but the gold lead just came back with a vengeance.
They caught Exakick overextended, but you get to see exactly what we've been talking about. There's no damage left. Attila throws everything, the kitchen sink, the neighbor's kitchen sink, at this Ahri, and Eika still manages to survive. And that's where you start to run out of damage. Like, Attila taken out of the fight. It's Tempt trying to play in the front line, but Yike is dealing so much DPS. Eika still surviving in the back line, and even with Exakick gone, you just don't have enough left in the tank as X7 to actually carry this fight.
It was a very good play from Tempt. I think Tempt has been a star player all season for X7, and once again showing up here, but it's just, it was already a rough fight. He was a little bit slow to the punch, and Yike on this Bel'Veth. I mean, little yikes, he's just so fed.
And they're about to give Mountain Soul to, like, a team they're already struggling to kill. Like, this doesn't get any better. Like, LDLC just get tankier.
Yeah, but they're looking for Yike, but they can't even hurt him. He's basically full damage. If you want to say that Wit's End is a tank item, like, go ahead.
You know what? He probably needs to go and get a health pot after that. You know, that's about it. You know, 150 health, I'd say, gone. That's solid day's work right there.
Oh no, Yike is so strong. He's 3 levels above Viking right now. Level 14. He's matching Eika as the 2nd highest in the game. Really big stuff. Kasing goes for the hero play. Unfortunately, unable to hit it. The pillar comes in, and he will find himself caught as the Glacial Fissure comes down. X7 are using this as the opportunity to take a fight, but that's the ult from Tempt. Ragner's on the flank trying to play just damage and complete zone control. Attila does get a good stun off for the moment, and everybody's being slowed down, so the damage is there. That's a big hook onto Eika, but the damage again is just lacking. Yike jumps in, pops the ult, pops the damage, and pops X7's hopes of going undefeated, able to flatten X7.
And LDLC will turn immediately over towards the barn. Their health bars are slightly low, but I mean, Chasy, Attila, they have double TP. This is where they have to make the hero play. This is where they have to make their stand.
Can they do it? They feel a little bit too slow to the punch. Chasy jumping forward. Attila's coming in. Maybe they can find a turnaround. The charm does go wide. A good scout of the week comes down from Attila. As Yike jumps into the face of Attila. Attila flashes over the wall, but Yike can follow him, and Attila will go down. Exakick with a double kill. LDLC, lightning won't strike twice. They will not go down again.
Yeah, they tried for the hero play, but when you start off 0 and 4, Chasy doesn't have the damage. 1 and 8 on this Renekton. Attila can only do so much at 1 and 4, and only 2 items in his back pocket. LDLC 23-6, over a 10k gold lead right now. They're just breezing into this dragon with 2 minutes left on this barn as well. It's all said and done.
This does not feel like a game between the 2 top teams in the group. 2 teams who have been very, very good in their group as well. This feels like a team from the top versus a team that has been struggling all week long. X7 are about to lose Viking as well. The Whirling Death goes a little bit wide, but Eika slides in, finishes him up, and now Ragner able to miss the ult, has a quick dance about it. Chasy finally dodges one of those ults and won't go down for a 9th time yet, as he is trying to clear out of some vision, but with the Baron buff on and Yike with little fishies coming in to make sure that these towers will crumble. X7, it feels like they're running out of opportunities, out of hope, but they do get the damage off onto Yike. He's going to go down. The shutdown goes to Kasing. Not the person you need to get the 1,000 gold, but what a claw coming in from Tempt. He's low. He goes golden in the middle of everyone. Exakick bleeding out. Maybe Attila can light the shot up, but he can't because Ragner is just too much of a problem. Eika jumping forwards there, able to lock down a target, and Attila, it's a lack of damage. We said it over and over again, Dagda. It is a lack of damage. X7 just a little bit disrespectful in the draft, a little bit disrespectful in the game, and they may lose their streak in under 30 minutes. A good snipe from Attila onto DOS, and they may just hold their hopes a little bit longer. They extend this game somewhat.
Dragon will be up in 20 seconds, so LDLC will back away. They know they're low. They don't need to give an opportunity for X7 to get back into this, but honestly, it feels like it's so far away. You talked about it not feeling like a game between 2 top teams. Well, I think it's kind of the draft, to be honest, making that big difference. Like, when you need to get ahead as Renekton, you need to get ahead as the Syndra, and they tried to get fancy with it, don't find the early success, and LDLC are punishing them for it.
LDLC going to look for this soul. It's going to be a hard one to contest. Maybe Viking may just give his life. Ragner is here on the flank. Attila could just get caught by Eika, though he hasn't seen him. That's the assassination. One of your carries is down, X7, as they do find Ragner, but Eika can just jump into the middle of everyone. The ultimate gets popped by Tempt, and he is isolated from the team. Nowhere for the Crocodile to go down, as he is cooked. Tempt will fall as well. X7, I don't know how many times I can call them losing fights, because it is just back-to-back team fight losses. LDLC are looking to push this tiebreaker, are looking to fight for first in Group B in an absolutely catastrophic loss for X7. 32 kills to 8. Under 28 minutes, an absolute slaughter from LDLC.
LDLC will have a date with Ego Rogue later on tonight to decide to see if they can either take the top spot away from X7 or if they can match X7 in that top spot and forces to a tiebreaker. Phenomenal stuff from LDLC. Great understanding of how they wanted to play the early game. Yike controlling that from start to finish, and then getting into those team fights with Exakick as large as was. There was just no hope. You had no ability at all to try and fight this.
Well, we actually have Yike standing by for an interview. The Bel'Veth god, probably the best way to word it. Yike, how are you doing, mate? You
Hello.
right?
Hello, I'm good, thank you.
Hi. I bet you're feeling good after that win. I mean, you pull out a 32 kill game. I'm sure you weren't expecting it to be that close, but sorry, that one-sided. But I kind of want to get your thoughts on your draft there. You know, you picked up the Bel'Veth, you picked up the Draven. You know, what was the conversations going on when you were building this team?
I mean, at the start, it was a lot of ADC bans. So I guess that's the reason why we decided to pick Draven kind of early. And in the end, with my Bel'Veth, there was also some jungle bans. They banned my Viego and Vi, I think. So, and it was still a good Bel'Veth angle. So I think we just went for it. I think everyone knows now that Sejuani and Bel'Veth is kind of strong together.
Yeah, and I've seen you bring out things like the Bel'Veth now into the Trundle, the Kazakhs as well. Are these like certain picks that you're trying to find to match the Trundle at the moment that you feel do well into the Trundle? Or is it more of a case of, well, we had the Viego banned away and this was just something that you felt the most comfortable to play?
Yeah, I think it's mostly about me being comfortable. I think I'm comfortable on Bel'Veth. I was comfortable on Kasing as well last week, but I think that game was a lot harder for us to play. We didn't have any tools, and today we had a lot of tools, so it was a lot easier for us.
So, kind of all things considered, you know, you've now beaten X7, so you've equalized the score with them. You know, we're looking at the next two games. You've got to play versus a Go Rogue. X7 have to play versus an Orthsis. Providing both of you two win that, do you feel like this tiebreaker that will be coming up, do you think it's going to be this dominant? Do you think maybe you're going to have to play a little bit different, a little bit smarter? Because did that feel like no, that's the wrong word. I don't want to say fluke. Did that feel like, you know, did that feel like your tiebreaker, if it happens, is going to be, you know, a more close game, or do you just think you're going to stomp X7 again?
I think we for sure will have an advantage if we go to the tiebreaker, and I mean, hopefully we will stomp them, but I think they will play better for sure, but we will still stomp them.
Well, Yike, thank you very much for joining us here for the interview. Congratulations on a dominating win over the team that have given you your only loss so far of the group stages. Thank you for joining us, and we'll speak to you later, all right? Yeah. See you later.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
That was, I mean, I don't really know where to start. I mean, I feel like we hit everything about that game. Was X7 just didn't draft enough damage. They draft too much AP, and they just got run over.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest problem was when we started to see plays like this come across, right? I think when you look at the mid lane, Tempt was doing a really good job of trying to keep the mid lane in check, right? It was actually making it quite hard for LDLC to move over towards Rift Herald and start getting this Bel'Veth rolling. But the problem was, instead of giving over the Rift Herald, they just gave over several kills instead. That reset on the Rift Herald really came back to bite them because they couldn't escape away then from LDLC. And again, this was a squad that needed to snowball, needed to look for picks with this composition. And once LDLC got the lead, you could see how happy LDLC were to try and force fights as soon as they could because they knew they just won the 5v5. Yeah,
it was I mean, we're gonna watch replays of just X7 getting slammed every fight. Like, they got 8 kills? Was it 32 to 8?
Yeah,
maybe not even that many. It was a disappointing game from X7, and I'm sure they'll agree this was not the game they wanted. They wanted to come out of this undefeated, go in with a statement to playoffs, and you know, they are locked for playoffs, but they could now be leaving in second place, which really changes a lot. It means you are playing a first seed from a different group instead of a second seed, so it's a massive, I wouldn't say disadvantage, because, you know, if you want to be able to win it, you need to be able to beat any team anyway. But, you know, you want a more comfortable journey towards the quarters and towards semi. You know, you just want a more comfortable journey to finals, right?
Yeah, and I think the biggest problem here is just the way that the draft went, right? I think LDLC had a really good read of, okay, well, we see Kalista banned, Zeri banned. Well, there's no real answer to Draven here. Like, nothing can really go toe-to-toe. And you can see that Attila felt the pinch. He wasn't comfortable going back towards someone like a Sivir that honestly, like, Draven destroys because of the short range. You don't really want to go... Like, there's not many picks that can really answer for the Draven at that stage. So they take that. You've got bot lane under control. The Syndra, they try to flex into the bot lane. But it means that, again, Tempt at least gets a good matchup in theory into the Ahri. Like, you don't really push Ahri in a lane. But I think something like a Sylas could have done a little bit better, where Sylas, okay, manages the early stages. Now you've got access to things like the Glacial Fissure, you know, the Glacial Tomb, or the Glacial Prison. You've got an opportunity to kind of be a step up, another carry for this squad. Because you can see just as these fights went on, they were getting people incredibly low on LDLC's side, but just not quite enough to actually finish them off.
Yeah, it was just super close. I think Ragner was probably the deciding factor of that to me as well. Like, they get them low, and then Ragnar would just step in and go, come at me, bro. See what happens. And, like, they just couldn't get past him. The Syndra would get CC chained immediately. Same for the Swain. They just couldn't close the gap because Ragnar was so far ahead. Look at the damage. This is a Sejuani versus Renekton matchup, and the Sejuani absolutely slammed it. I mean, jungle, that is just a canyon between those two. Phenomenal stuff coming in from Ragner and Yike. And yes, the rest of the team also played very well, but I think the damage chart doesn't particularly tell the tale of how well these two in particular played that early game, which then snowballed out of control for the side of X7. And X7 now need to bounce back because they got to play a North Sisk after this. And a North Sisk, to be real, they just got their first win. They've looked good in all of the games we've seen them today. Even in their loss, like, they had a solid start. And if X7 fall behind, it feels like, you know, they are struggling somewhat. I mean, we can see the overall standings right now. X7 and LDLC are tied up. Both of these teams are guaranteed to make it out of the group. The question is where are they going to make it out of the group? They do have to play both of the bottom teams. So, X7 have to play versus a North Sis, and then LDLC have to play versus a Go Rogue coming after this. So, you know, if one of them drops a game, then there isn't a tiebreaker, but expectations are they'll win their games. And then when we get into that tiebreaker, are X7 going to have an answer, or, you know, are they just going to struggle once again? This is the real questions for me here, Dagda.
Yeah, and I think the big one is trying to avoid some of the big teams that are coming in, like Game Ward 6-0 in the group. Like, it's pretty important that you do take that top spot.
Yeah, it's all about that top spot, but before that, we've still got a couple more games to go. We're going to throw to a break, and when we're back, we'll have a North Sis taking on X7, so we'll see you in a moment.